Hi, it's Leadership Development Coach Kathy Archer. I'm going to continue my conversation one more week about emotional intelligence because I think this is critical for leaders to get this. The truth is, we all have an array of emotions every single day over the course of the day. And when we try and pretend that we don't, when we try and suppress them, when we try and pretend that everything's okay, what we end up doing is appearing fake. We're not authentic, we're not real, and people know it, they see it, it oozes out of us. So a couple weeks I talked about how to become more aware of what your emotions are. Last week I talked about learning to identify where those emotions are coming from. And I want to dive deeper in there today a little bit because this is where it all starts. It starts with the messages we're giving ourselves about an incident. So when something happens, somebody messes up on a report, somebody's timesheet was wrong, somebody handled an incident the wrong way, somebody didn't show up for work. When an incident happens, we have a reaction to that, a feeling, an emotion, something that happens. But in between those two things, there's a gap. And that's where I want to get to, is that gap in between. Because it's in that gap where you have thoughts, where you have beliefs, where you make up stories in your head about that initial incident. And we need to widen that gap. We need to slow this thought process down so that rather than reacting to an incident, we're able to respond to an incident. And we can't do that if we haven't slowed that middle place down where we go, why am I reacting this way? So if somebody doesn't show up for work, what are the stories you're telling yourself? They're lazy. If they don't show up, I look like I'm a bad leader. If they don't show up, we aren't providing services to our clients. And so all of a sudden the funder's going to start to question. If they don't show up, it means that they're drinking, they're, having family problems, they're looking for another job. I mean, we have a ton of stories that go on in our heads about why this person didn't show up. The second we hear that, we don't slow it down to consider, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, they were sniffling yesterday. Maybe they're sick today. Or, oh, I noticed their cell phone was acting funny yesterday. Maybe they haven't had the opportunity to call in. Whatever. We haven't had time to sort of slow that process down. And so this is what I want you to do, is start to slow those thoughts down and make them more conscious rather than subconscious in the back of our mind. It's those subconscious thoughts that get us into trouble. So again, I'm coming back to this same conversation I had last week about journaling. Don't call it journaling if you don't want to call it journaling. That's entirely fine. But what I want you to do is start recording things. Start writing down, this is the feeling I was having. Back it up to, this is the event that happened, and stretch that middle part out in between and start looking at, and what did I say to myself about that event that caused that feeling? So slow that process down. Look at, maybe you got the timesheets in again and there was mistakes on the timesheets. And so, your feeling is annoyance and irritation. I used to sit at home on Sunday afternoons doing timesheets and I'd just be cranky because here I am correcting mistakes that I corrected last pay period and the pay period before that. They've been told about it again and again. And so in my mind, I'm making up all these stories like they don't care, they don't see the work I put into it, obviously this isn't important to them, all of this stuff about, I shouldn't have to be doing this, I'm the boss. And so it's slowing that process down and recognizing that what triggered me was the lack of respect for my time, my effort, my training that I'd put into them. And that lack of respect really irked me. And so I got to come back to recognizing that respect is important to me. Now, from there, we create a different sort of way of approaching the problem. And I'm not going to get into that today, but I want you to start thinking about that. So if I slow it down and recognize, okay, bingo, I hit the nail on the head, it's lack of respect, then I can deal with it differently than simple annoyance and irritation where, with the annoyance and irritation, I'm likely going to be sarcastic, I'm going to be rude, I'm going to be short with people, right? But when I recognize that it's a lack of respect, the change is going to be that I'm going to address lack of respect. I need to indicate the time that I'm putting into this. I need to indicate the workload that it takes me and how it also takes me away from other important work. And so I'll approach the problem slightly differently. So for now, what I want you to do is start recording. Get a piece of paper out, get a journal out, get a binder, do it on your phone, however you want to do it. But simply take 2 or 3 events a day if you can. 1 is fine, but just note what happened, what was I feeling, back it up to what was the antecedent, the thing that happened, and stretch that time out between and look at, and what did I make up about that? That's your homework for today. And when you do this, again, you'll start to really increase your awareness on your emotions, and you'll begin to manage your emotions better. So you have more emotional intelligence in the workplace, which is going to skyrocket your effectiveness as a leader.